So you think a city is just a bunch of concrete, steel, and glass, right? Concrete, steel, glass. A place where people pay way too much for a tiny apartment garden view that's actually a single sad-looking plant on a fire escape. But that's like saying a person is just a collection of bones and organs, bones, organs. You're missing the good part. The real city is made of stories rushing to catch a train, a couple arguing over where to get dinner, a street performer frozen as a statue. The city isn't the buildings. It's the life between them, inside them, and all around them. Life between buildings, life inside buildings, life all around buildings. It's a living, breathing organism. A city has a heartbeat, morning rush hour. It has a voice, conversations, sirens, distant bass. Okay, so we agree a city is more than just its physical parts. But what are those parts really? On one level, yes, it's the stuff you can touch. It's the grid of streets, the sprawling parks, the subway tunnels that run like veins beneath the surface, and the towering buildings that poke holes in the sky. This is the city's skeleton. It's the infrastructure that dictates how we move, where we live, and whether we can get a decent cell signal. This physical layout is the first layer of what makes a city a city. It's the hardware. Without it, you've just got a bunch of people standing in a field, which is basically a music festival, and that's a whole different kind of chaos. But then you've got the social layer, which is the city's nervous system. This is where things get interesting. It's the unwritten rules of how millions of people manage to live together without constantly bumping into each other. Or, when they do, how to apologize with just the right amount of awkward eye contact. This is the shared understanding that you don't make small talk on a crowded morning train, but you absolutely will join a group of complete strangers to push a car that's stuck in the snow. Today's cities are on another level. They're like the classic city model got a massive software update, and now it's running on a whole new operating system. A huge part of this is the incredible mix of cultures. Globalization didn't just connect economies. It put people from everywhere, right next to each other. You can walk through a neighborhood in London or Toronto and hear a dozen languages. You can see signs for businesses from every corner of the globe. You can smell foods that your grandparents never even knew existed. This isn't just a melting pot anymore. That idea is too simple. It's more like a beautiful, chaotic buffet where nothing is fully melted. You can still taste every distinct ingredient. It's exciting, it's vibrant, and sometimes it's a little confusing, especially when you're just trying to figure out which line to stand in. Then there's technology, the ultimate game changer. Tech has completely rewired the urban experience. 20 years ago, plans had to be fixed. Now you can change the location 3 times via group chat while you're already on your way. Apps tell us where traffic is. We order food from restaurants we've never seen. We can find a date by swiping right while waiting for the bus. It's like having a superpower, summon a car or a pizza with a few taps. For all the talk about how big and anonymous cities are, the funny thing is, we spend most of our time trying to make them smaller. We are honestly masters at carving out our own little villages within the sprawling metropolis. The most obvious way we do this is through our neighborhoods. Your neighborhood becomes your world. It's where you have your go-to grocery store, your favorite dry cleaner, and that one neighbor you always have an overly long conversation with when you're just trying to get your mail. These neighborhoods have their own distinct characters. The artsy district, the quiet family-oriented area, the neighborhood that never sleeps. Living in one is like joining a club with its own inside jokes and local celebrities. Now, for the flip side. For every story about finding your tribe in the city, there's another one about feeling completely and utterly alone. And the weirdest part is, this feeling of loneliness often hits hardest when you're surrounded by the most people. You can be walking through Times Square or Shibuya Crossing, literally brushing shoulders with thousands of people, and feel more invisible than if you were standing alone in a desert. It's a special kind of paradox, this urban loneliness. You are swimming in a sea of humanity, yet you feel like you're dying of thirst. It's the feeling of being a ghost at your own party. This experience is what some thinkers call the lonely crowd. The sheer number of people and the fast pace of city life can force us to put up a shield. We develop what's known as a blasé attitude just to cope. We learn to tune out the noise, to avoid eye contact, to create a little personal bubble around ourselves as we move through public spaces. It's a survival mechanism. If you stop to emotionally engage with every single person you passed on the street, your brain would short-circuit by 9:30 a.m. But the side effect of this protective shield is that it can be incredibly isolating. It keeps the bad stuff out, but it can also keep the good stuff, potential connections, from getting in. The architecture of the city itself can add to this feeling of separation. We live in high-rise apartment buildings where we might not know the name of the person living right next door. We commute in our cars, sealed in our own metal boxes, listening to our own podcasts. Even our public spaces can sometimes feel designed to keep people apart rather than bring them together. When the physical environment prioritizes efficiency and movement over human interaction, it's no wonder we end up feeling like solitary atoms bouncing around in a giant impersonal machine. So how do we make sense of this? How can a city be both a hub of community and a hotbed of loneliness at the same time? Some smart people have thought a lot about this. The sociologist Georg Simmel, writing over a century ago, basically predicted the whole thing. He said that city dwellers develop a special mindset to deal with the constant overstimulation. We become more reserved, more intellectual, and less emotional in our public interactions. We treat people more like numbers or functions. The barista is the coffee guy, the bus driver is the transport person. This helps us stay sane, but it also creates that distance, that feeling of being disconnected from the people around us. Then there's the idea of weak ties, made famous by another sociologist, Mark Granovetter. He argued that our strong ties, our close friends, family, are important, but it's our weak ties that are really crucial for things like finding new opportunities, new information, feeling integrated into a larger community. These weak ties are your acquaintances, the person you nod to at the gym, the owner of the corner store, the colleague from another department. In a city, you have the potential to build hundreds of these weak ties. They are the social glue that holds the urban experience together, making a massive city feel more like a network you belong to, even if it's just an awkward conversation about the weather in an elevator. So where does that leave us? Cities are these incredible, complex ecosystems that offer both the thrill of community and the ache of solitude. They are engines of innovation and culture, but they can also be places of inequality and isolation. The big question is, how do we get more of the good stuff and less of the bad? How do we design and live in cities in a way that nurtures community without sacrificing the personal freedom that makes them so attractive in the first place? It's about being intentional. A great city doesn't just happen by accident. It's built, not just with bricks and mortar, but with policies and values that put people first. One of the most important things we can do is protect and create great public spaces. We need more parks, plazas, libraries, community centers that are designed for people to actually use and interact in. This means comfortable seating, good lighting, programming that brings people together like free concerts, outdoor movies, community gardens. When people have inviting places to gather, they will. These spaces become the living rooms of our neighborhoods, where weak ties are formed and a sense of shared ownership and identity can grow. We also have to tackle the big, scary problems like inequality. A city can't be a true community if some of its residents are being pushed to the margins. This means fighting for affordable housing so that people from all walks of life can live in the city, not just the super rich. It means investing in public transportation so that everyone can access jobs and opportunities, not just those who can afford a car. When a city becomes more equitable, it becomes more integrated. People from different backgrounds are more likely to cross paths to interact and to see each other as neighbors rather than strangers, which breaks down barriers and reduces social isolation. Ultimately, the future of the city rests on our ability to hold two things in balance: our deep human need for connection and our equally important desire for individual freedom and privacy. The city is one of the few places on Earth that can offer both. It's a place where you can be an anonymous face in the crowd when you need to be, and a valued member of a tribe when you want to be. The goal should be to make that choice available to everyone. To build cities that are not just efficient and dynamic, but also kind, inclusive, and humane. A place where you can find your community, but also find yourself. That is the enduring, beautiful promise of the concrete jungle.